Hey guys, this is James again. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can do the write-on effect. This is very important if you're doing like a vlog or something. So for this effect, if you want a more in-depth tutorial, actually there is a place where you can go, School of Motion. You will learn a lot from them. But today I'm going to be showing you how you can do this, and it's just going to be quick, right? So we have to we're now going to create a new composition. Control N on your keyboard, it will bring up a new composition, and we can give it any name we want. So let's call it intro. Let's say intro. Okay, and also specify the color of your background that you want, and then click OK. Now here we have our composition. What you're going to do now is just add a text layer to it, because we're now going to be animating the text layer. So let's imagine, let's just call it intro, and then and select here, turn off your caps lock, and then move it. You can move it to the center like this, and then just press the S and adjust the length. The size, the scale. Again, you can move it around to position it exactly where you want it to be. And then maybe we can add another layer. Let's just put a text layer down here, and let's say maybe episode 1. And you can move that as well down here. So this is, let's just imagine that this is our vlog, our introduction, and then we can change this one, maybe to put it that, so make it bold. You can change it as much as you want. So let me imagine that it's going to be like this, and next thing we're going to do is we're going to now begin animating. Let's first select all the layers, Ctrl Shift C on your keyboard, it will pre-compose them, and we're going to call this text layer. Okay, I want to show you something. I've actually let me show you how I did this. What you have to do here, just first double click here to open up these two layers here, and you're just going to click U on your keyboard. Sorry, for you won't be able to get anything, but what I want you to do, okay, let's collapse this. Just click here, okay, and then press T on your keyboard. Okay, so you press T on your keyboard, and it will bring up the opacity layer. Now you'll add 2 keyframes here. Let me first delete this. Let's imagine we want this to be here, so we want to add a keyframe here for 0, like that, and then we're going to move up one point, like, and then we add back to 100, just like that. Very simple, so that when you play back, it's going to be showing like this. But with what you're going to be doing, the write-on text, we're not going to be using this same layer here, because once we do, there are steps which will actually eliminate this, and we shan't be able to see it. So what I want you to do is very simple. You come back here, okay, and you're just going to do this with me. It's very simple. Just Control N on your keyboard. we're going to make a composition layer for this one. Just do it for now. I'll show you what I mean. It's very, very important. And just call it the episode layer. All right, same dimensions, same everything. Click OK. Let it open, and now go to your text layer and then type in say episode 1, right? And then move it in place, let's say there. Just move it down a little bit, just like there, and leave it, right? Okay, so leave it alone. You can even close it here if you want to. And also let's close this. So let's just go back. Let's concentrate on this for now. Okay, so once you finish writing, for example, this, we're just going to begin painting on this. All right, so what I want you to do is just come here and select the layer, and then right click and just come and open layer. So it will open the layer in the text. It will open a text layer so we can paint on it, because we cannot actually paint on this one. If you went and tried to get a brush and paint on it, for example, it will not allow you. Okay, so it will just give you an error. So but what we need is to paint on a text layer. So this is a ready text layer for us. Just go over here and adjust your brushes to make sure that the brushes align very well with this. Okay, so you can just come over here to the diameter section and then drag around to get the size that best fits your font, and then just come and begin painting over like this. If you make a mistake, you can just Ctrl Z and then you repeat. Okay, and you make sure that you're writing the way you would write it in a normal book or something, because this is going to be like an animation, so you don't want it to be jiggly and stuff. And also try to make sure that they don't overlap. The paintings of this preceding layer don't overlap onto the next if you can avoid it. Just do that. I'm going to be doing it for all of them. And finally, we have this one. So once you're done, you should have something similar to this. And now what you're going to do, you're going to head over back to the normal composition layer, and it should be showing as well. All right, so now you can actually get rid of this layer because you don't need it anymore if you want. So but now what you're going to do, you're going to first of all, I want you to press E on your keyboard. It will open up the layer with effects on it, and when you click down and on that, it will bring up all the layers that you have. Come over to the brushes, and then you go to like stroke options, and then you go to where it says end, for example, for one of the brushes, and you try to move it around like this. You'll see the animation being made. This is the one we're going to be using to animate our intro. Okay, so what I want you to do is to select all this, and then come down here to the shift, and then click down as well. First click the first one up. So if you don't know how to do it, first click the first one up or down, and then go to the last one, and then shift click, and all of them will be selected at the same time. And now, since we want to open up end for all of them, just come here and type it in like end, and it will show up for all of those. All right, it will show up everywhere for all of them. Okay, and then what we want to do now is we want to add keyframes to them. you may see that they are not actually in line. You just can pull all of them back to the beginning here. We now want to begin. We want to put keyframes at the beginning of the animation, say at 0. So for example, we put a keyframe there. We just click you can go like to this one, for example, the second one or the others. Let's first do that again. Just select all of them once again. And now you can go to any of the keyframes within and then click like this. Click on one of the keyframes once all of them are selected, and all of them, a keyframe will be added to all of them. So a keyframe will be added to all of them. And now what you want to do is just drag until, or you can just type in 0 and then you go to 0 here. So now you'll just move just one frame or so in front. So just move it slightly in front, just like that, and then drag all of them back to 100 so that they animate fast enough. You can still move them a little bit. So if you're fine with what you've done, just come down and you're going to begin offsetting them. Now brush 1 represents the first stroke we made, so it's going to be from brush 1 we're going to be, actually let me pull this up a little bit. Just pull them up a little bit so you can see all the strokes you're working with, most of them. And then you want to move these a little bit in front for all of them, so you just move them, begin with a brush 1, leave it where it is, and then offset. Let's first deselect everything. So just click out and then begin offsetting them by just a little bit. Now you can play back your animation to see if it really works the way you want it. Okay, so let's assume that this is what we have here, for example, and up to there. Okay, so click in on your keyboard and this will be the playable area. So it will be coming like that, and then episode 1 will come in. Okay, so episode 1 is not going to be, this is not going to be our final composition. I'll show you why. This is just like a dummy, for example. So you can now deselect everything and collapse all the layers so that you still have your animation playing. Okay, but now what you're going to do is we're going to first of all duplicate this layer. So just Ctrl D on your keyboard to duplicate it. So to duplicate it is going to, this is going to help us to actually use it as a track mat, and it's going to help us with what we want to achieve. So once you duplicate the layer, we can rename this. Let's rename it, for example. Let's call it something name, or let's call it, because it's going to be our name, and then this is going to be the paint. So main intro or something like that. You can call it whatever you want, and then we can rename this as paint. So after you have this, now the next thing you're going to do is when you select this main intro and then go over to the effects control. If you don't have this, just go over to here where it says effect and then effect controls, and then you'll be able to see it. So while it's selected, the main intro, you're going to click the paint and delete it. We are going to go to this one, and we are going to turn on the, let's first use this, for example, alpha matte. Let's use this paint layer as an alpha matte for the main intro. So what this will do is this effect. Okay, and select this paint, okay, and then just click this. Okay, paint on transparent. So now when you paint on transparent, for example, when you turn off this and you paint, okay, you'll realize episode is still coming, right? But once you paint on transparent, now everything on this layer is transparent, and your episode, it won't show anymore. This is why we made this composition here. So if you want, for example, to change this layer, because now we don't want it to be a red, for example, if you want to change the color, you can just, maybe let's say we want to make it white, we can just come over, maybe make sure it's selected, and then you'll come to the effects, and then you'll generate and then fill. So we shall just add a fill option, and then this will help us change the color to another color that you want. Let's say it's white, and then you click OK. Maybe if the edges are so rough for you, you could, depending on your brush sizes you used, you could make the look make it look a little bit painty like. So what you can do in that case, you can go over to the effects panel here, and then stylize, and then go to you just roughen the edges a little bit. So using this, you will actually, let me turn off the matte here, and then if you play around with say for example the borders, right? So you realize that the borders are changing, or the edges, you may bring the edges down, whatever you want. So once you play around with this, for example, you may bring this up like that. But if you do it too much, then it will look funny and cheesy. So don't overdo it. So what this will do is, for example, let's turn back our alpha matte, and then you realize that when you're painting, it doesn't make the brushes aren't so hard, they're just a little bit soft. So you could use that if you want to, right? With this, you're pretty much done. So the next part we're going to do is just adding back our episode layer here. So what I want you to do, again, you just drag it in like this. So what we want is, we want the episode layer to come, for example, we want it there. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to hit the opacity, bring up the opacity panel by T on your keyboard, hit T on your keyboard, and then add a keyframe there, because we're going to be working with keyframes here. Okay, so we're going to add a keyframe. Now just click the stopwatch and let that be at 0, and then next is 100. That's all. So it will come like this. And if let's say your layer is not in position, again, you can make sure you're selected on that layer, and you can move it around like that to put it just in position. Okay, and once you're done, this is pretty much everything you have to think about now. And this is very, very simple. It's maybe if you're using vlog, if you want to introduce a vlog, and like, it's just very simple intro, you can use this format. It's very, very helpful. It can help you. And with this, I'm going to leave it at this. If you found value, please stay around. I'm going to be making a detailed one, a more complicated one, to show you which you can add an emotion to it. For example, if it's like a horror movie and you're introducing those things. So you stay tuned for those that are coming, and many more tutorials on Photoshop, After Effects, and editing in Premiere Pro. I'll be doing all those, and color correction. So make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for that. With this, just go create, stay awesome, be amazing. Till next time, peace.